Okay, I know these have been really long 2 days. So thank you for actually coming and staying through it all. So this is in a glance that, like, in those 2 days, there were 108 participants coming from 67 institutions in 7 countries, and 62 of those people actually presented. This was when I think we were fresher yesterday, not too many people today. In those 2 days, actually it seems like, looking at this like morning picture, actually it seems kind of gray of them welcoming us yesterday morning. But we had lots of the formal and informal discussions. We experienced an exhibit as well. But I want just quickly, so these were the things that we thought we would be discussing, and I think we were not too far off. So actually, these are the words coming from all of the abstracts of all of the talks, like flash 2-minute talks, all of the abstracts. So science, scientific model, research, and this is not so surprising. In the meantime, actually, thanks to Ben Schneiderman and Mark Smith from NodeXL, this is the preliminary network of all of the presenters at the conference. I guess there would be a more complete version of the network of people who participated. If you look at these were some of the topics. So we have effects on the side, and the consortium and research, and then at the very end we have some papers. So like these were more of the clusters of the themes that we covered. I'm really going to quickly summarize some of the major things about models that came up. So the first one is that models should really be able to simulate past, present, and future. And the idea is simplicity, although lots of what from the policy side, there is this call for models that can really help answer lots of these questions now. But some of those models, given that, like as James said, science is a really complex system, and it's a complex, like, socio-technical system. I don't think we are actually at the level where we can produce those models that could actually be completely explanatory. We can have models that are, and that came up in some of the previous talks this morning, when you use machine learning, that we can have models that could produce some answers, but not necessarily some explanations of what is happening or why. So I think simple models were something that was called for a number of reasons. And also, interdependencies came very important, and we had some of that in the morning. So there are lots of layers, and, like, again, lots of the elements. So we should be thinking about interdependencies. There is a requirement for testing, iterative improvement. It's really important to have a community of users. So I think lots of these models are still maybe lacking communities of users. And one of the goals of the conference was actually that people become aware of maybe a wider range of models than they were aware before. So maybe there is a room, or actually not maybe, I do believe that there is a room for creating a stronger community of users of those models. And actually, for them to be successful, they really require active partnership, and they need to be reproducible, which actually leads to another problem, which is the problem of data. In order to have a reproducible models, you need to have data. And again, part of what we've heard is that more data, and actually it was one of the yeses, like more data often is the wrong answer to the modeling questions. And it's not always about more data. It's really more about usable data, useful data, rich data, which goes to when is linked data. But we've heard that data is actually in this current state often very messy. So, like, I think if we were to code the words that came up in lots of the talks, and lots of people who start saying, and then it is very messy. Like, one starts with that and then works from that. Well, data then, if we want to gain reproducibility, some of the issues are around the data sharing. We've heard about the IRIS project, I think, a few times, and there is, but that's more kind of institutional or institutionalized. And then we've heard what Wendy has proposed, which is this web observatory, which is more like community-driven and sharing data by the researchers. Lots of the data that has been used, especially by the academic researchers, was Web of Science. And the problem is that data is proprietary, so another problem is that one cannot share it. But then there should be maybe ways of sharing, I don't know, we can maybe create, and that came up in some of the conversation, one can have a wiki environment that one could share all of the experiences with Web of Science data, all of the issues that one has encountered, which other people might have not been aware of. And almost in a way, like creating an algorithm that one can run before using Web of Science data, so that could maybe help with some of these reproducibility issues, because we would be working with the more similar data. Again, we heard a lot of tools that are out there. The first one that actually has been used in NIH was IBM Watson, but we've heard of the ones developed here at the National Academy of Engineers, which was Smart Vaccines. And there are two that were closer to the modeling science community, which were Skin Model and Event Flow. Again, a goal here was to encourage everybody to share also models and algorithms in a more systematic way. Some of the recommendations we heard was, again, seeking active partnership, engaging with public for actually understanding the value in modeling. There was a caution of being aware of bad models and actually being more active in calling out bad models and not just ignoring them. Allowing users to run their own models, that was something that seemed to be working in the more like policy environments, and then call for the data modeling literacy. Here actually are some of the next steps. And Kati do you want to say a few words about this?
Maybe just briefly that if I'm not reachable the rest of the year, it will be because I'm at home writing on the Atlas of Forecasts. I will be trying to be reachable, but I think it also takes a lot of time to just retreat and actually deeply understand how some of those models can be communicated to a broader audience, but also to understand how to get to models that are truly useful to not only federal agencies, but also to regional policy-making decision makers, and also campus-level officials. To be honest, I think many of us would truly benefit if many of our institutions would be driven in a more, or would benefit from a more data-driven approach to hiring, to resource allocation, to making decision in terms of what courses should be implemented next, how the different curriculum and research and service activities should be coordinated, etc. So I think it's not only the high-level federal agencies which we should aim to serve with our models, but also lots of other levels in between, down to our own research labs. And that's why I was asking and was curious to know if the panelists from the last panel actually changed their behavior based on what they learned from their own models. Are they now managing and operating their labs in a different way? And so if you have models that you believe my mom should know about, please send them to me. If you have models that you believe have made a true difference in your own decision-making or in the decision-making at any of those levels, campus, regional, or federal or global, worldwide levels, please also send me pointers. I would like to make sure we have a good set of models in that book. And maybe I'll leave it at that.
So, there are also a number of events actually where researchers interested in, especially on actually the academic side, do share the research on models. So one is International Conference of Scientometrics and Informatics. There is the Blue Sky that I think Kati mentioned yesterday. Then there is the NetSci, Computational Social Science Conference. So there were a few workshops on at the Web Science Conference. So there are a number of venues where, but actually subgroups of researchers that join this group for 2 days do present their work. There is also some work, there is going to be a special issue in Centometrics on simulating the processes of science, technology, and innovation, which is co-edited with Bruce Edmonds, Andrea Schemhorst, Kati Warner, and myself, and that one should actually appear soon. This conference was actually in the making for quite a long time, and we really benefited a lot from the input by scientific advisors, and I really want to thank all of them. I don't think we ever had all of them at the same, well, not because Jason wasn't here, but not the same time, but actually, so I want to thank James Evans, Susan Fitzpatrick, Richard Freeman, Jerome Glenn, Jason Owen-Smith, Caroline Wagner, and Uri Walensky. They really helped us shape a lot of what you saw today. So I want to thank those of you. So James, Jerome, Caroline, Richard. So I think there are four of them still here. So also want to thank Patsy Powell with the National Academies, Don Pass, Sodexo Catering, Sarah Bouchard, Jill Taylor, the team doing the recording. We have rapporteurs like Dan Mote and William Colglazer, who gave two kind of opening remarks, and then all speakers for their wonderful contribution to discussions over these 2 days. I also want to thank the financial support that we had. And finally, Daniel O'Donnell, who really helped us all run this smoothly, and Kati, who was a major driving force. So thank you. So I think everybody is looking forward to probably finishing. I could see the 1, 2, 3 slow start.
Thank you all, and watch out for emails from us. We have a list of questions for you still. Thank you.